Hello again. For this Archi assurance the case study, actually next we figure we will go to this capability view. But you can see here is quite a lot same type of the element we need to build into the Archi. So that is kind of boring things if you just use mouse, right click, create element one by one. So today is before we create that into the view, I would like to take some time. First is talking about some this CSV format export import the tip. So this I would like this as a separate video. So if you come to the user guide of Archi, you can find there's a chapter talking here, the export and import model in CSV format. From this part is you can read some more detail, but I will do some demo for you to get that in the quick way. So in short is if you have our the model, the first is earlier is we talk about this model format. So we can starting from that to do this. So within the video is we will do our export and add some thing into the CSV, then do the import. So you can feel about this compared to create element one by one here, when you can prepare CSV file first, then import at one time, so that can save quite a lot of your time. So if you read this the user guide, you can see here is you can export the CSV first, then you get a file, then using that file is you can update and you can do the import. So I put this our test model first. So I will do this as a save. First, you can save that. So let me do this into the temp and put here. Let me make our dates. So if you have Archi, is in very good. Is you can follow my steps. Is, then you can get some tangible feeling. So let's call this test model. So without we do anything, let's do our export. So export to CSV. Then you can see here is you can just use today. Actually, that's the earlier the dates. So today we have this one. So 21st. So you select this folder. Then the eliminator is semicolon. So we can use comma or tab, but let's keep on that. Ensure you have UTF-8. You can keep the others by default. And here is you see when you do the export, you get these three the file element relation property. We analyze this the structure. The earlier is not in the separate file, but in the Archimate single file. But you can see that will show the complete information. Here is the prefix. If you really want to do the prefix, you can do like this. But for simple reason, I just want to keep this in the very short way. So let's go to here. So we can open our folder. So come here, then we're starting to analyze what's that here. So let me select the folder. So here you can see you have three files. So in the element file, it's not XML, now it's the CSV. So you can see here the CSV file, you have 5 columns. And the first column is this unique ID. And then you get this Archi model is the type. So this ID means this empty model name. And this is your model's the name, and then the specification is empty for the documentation and also specification. Property is 3-column, ID, key, value. This ID is actually is your element ID. Relation is the relation ID, relation type, relation name, and the relation you can give documentation. And this source and target are coming from element, and the specification is now is empty. So let's starting to do something interesting to analyze this. So if I manually add something, so if I add our business process, just leave that, and I add our application. So let's save. So you can let's do the comparison. So I put on the same folder. You can overwrite them. So you can see here you get some more lines. So first line is your Archi model. Actually, you can see this as well. So if you click the model name, then you can see here, this is the name. This is your this first line name. And only this one has the element type is Archimate model. Others, they have this Archimate, the actual type. So you always need to keep this first line. Now you can see I have one business process. It's the name by default and the business process type. The type is without the space, and you're starting to get our this kind of the unique ID, and similar for that. And if you're starting to make our the view, so let's drag this to here, and if we I see this process is realize this business process. So I can see here is I make our the view, and also I can give something is life cycle, for example. Why you need to do something like this? It's not our play. So it's actually when you do this, you gave your empty model some sample element and the sample components. So that is when you do your CSV, you have some the samples to be based. So now is you have our the property, you have one relation. So then this should fill in all the 3 files. So let's export this again. So it's nothing here, and property is here. You see your this ID C68 is definitely should be this one. So that they are linked. So when you create your property, you ensure is the property refer to the element. Then you have this key value. Relation is similar. Is as we analyze this relation, have this 2 element the components. So first is our application, second is our business process. But relation itself has another ID for this relation ID, and you got our relation the type. We don't have the documentation put in here, but let's make something. So documentation. So we can give a name. So that is the realize, and this is test relation. And also here is my first app, and also here test the process, for example. So I think we have quite many components now. It's good enough. So export things, we are now having many things. But one thing I should mention is the view. itself cannot be exported. So that also means you cannot use the CSV to import our view. So you should focus on the components or the element to be imported. So then let's see. So you have also got certain the documentation. In this blue one, but I don't have any specification. So that is the things I will ignore in this video. So when you create here the content, you get this CSV file is keep updating, and you have the property keep as is, and the relation you also got the relation, the documentation. So this green one is the documentation, and you also have this relation, the name. So before I finish on this export, you can see here, element is 5 column, property is 3 column, and the relation is 7 column. That is important is if you create your CSV, ensure is you must have all these the numbers of column same as this sample. So one thing is I can do is as user guide mentioned is you can export the file the one by one. So that is you can import element, you can import property, relation, but because it's a property and a relation, they cannot exist themselves. So you must have the ID. Unique ID to refer to the element. So that means first you should have our existing element in the export model, or you create an element, give our unique ID, then use this ID to refer in the property and the relation. So that is the way. So if you want to use your own ID, you need to ensure that is unique. But my recommendation is you import element first, then export and get this element unique ID, then you start to create your updated property or relation file. So that is the thing is let's do this element first. So before we create the CSV file, let's just make some the manually work. Since I know here is 5 column, every column is a string. Let's see. So first, the ID. I don't have ID if I create manually here, so I ignore this column. But I can see here is application. Maybe I create our application service. So if I know this kind of format, so new app service, that is the name if I know. So if I don't want to give documentation, you just keep adding this. So that means it's now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 column. So let's see. So if you don't have those, you can give this kind of the empty. That should be the good enough on the this part. So if it is not usable, then it's we can see here. So or I suppose is I should not use this kind of the symbol. So let's just keep that empty. So I save this. Now I have one additional line. So let's test on this. Now we use import CSV data into select model. So ensure is you come to this one. You see here is the different timestamp. So this is my CSV. So let's see what happened. Yeah, as we expected, here you get our new element imported here. When this element is imported, this element will be assigned our unique ID. So even you don't give anything here, so now if I do the thing is I export to CSV again. So you see here, there is a new manually created element you got our unique ID. So if you have this unique ID, so what we can do is let's create some the property for this ID. So first is you remember 3 column, so you can copy this ID. Normally, this is not your the normal work, but let's do this test one by one. So the service type, let's see. So that's the key. And then this service is kind of, let's see. So web service, maybe just see like that. So I save and as import. Now we are import property. So let's do this. So nothing happened, but when you come to here, so you see service type web service. And then here is the relation. So now I want to see from this service is first is maybe let's try to see what kind of the service we can do is the serving relation. So let's do this. So we can do the serving relation. So these kind of the things first you remember. Ignore the ID because this relation ID we don't know. And serving relation shape. Let's ignore this name and ignore the type. Yeah, so sorry, you must keep that in English. And then here it's from your the service element to the application components element. So here is the you need to be very cautious. So don't make that wrong. The sequence is source and the target. So my source is the service. My target is this application components. So let's copy that. And the last is this specification. I leave that. So I suppose is we will create our new serving relation here. Even it's not showing on the view, but if you import that, let's see what will be happen. Yeah, that is our expected things. So it's serving. So if you know the serving relation, so you can just type like what I did. But my recommendation again is you export your model. When you export your model, when you open that, you have a lot of lines. So let's do this Archi assurance model export. So let's see. So Archi assurance. So if I open that folder. Open this one. So this Archi assurance you can see here. Then you have quite a lot the lines. This gave you some the knowledge is you can know here is Archi code this type in the element, how they code the key driver key value is what you customized. But most interesting is here you can see the type name of the relation. So when you have some existing relation, learn from the existing model, not create just by yourself, and otherwise it may have some errors. So what you will do is if you drag this relation to the view, then this element will be coming to here. So that is give you some the easier way to do that. The current is demo we do together is we do the one line by line manually, the touch based on this the model, but the import is not serving like that way. So in the later the Archi model is the view. When we do this business capability build, is you can see here you can prepare a list of the business capability and load into import into your model. Then that will be come to the your element directly. Then you can save a lot of time to key in that manually, and you can focus on the structure and make those folders, views. Your time should be working on that part. So we will use this the CSV import way in next the kind of similar ways, similar model that will have many the element you need to create at a time. So see you in that video later on. Bye for now.